Hi guys, my name is Ina and today I have some Dendrobium nobile hybrids here that I need to report. If that's the type of content you'd like to see, if you're interested to know a little bit more about Dendrobium nobilis and you love a good repotting session, please take your coffee with you, your tea, or whatever you're drinking or eating, sit down and let's talk about orchid repotting, what we have inside these pots, and much more. Enough blab, so just to introduce you, I have here 3 different Dendrobium nobile hybrids. These are not pure nobiles. There is a whole explanation behind that. I'll link other videos down below. I'm not going to come into that. What I know is that some of them will have a little bit more of Dendrobium nobiles in their DNA, others a little bit less, but none of the less. I have this one is my Dendrobium Daruma. I've shown it to you earlier this year when it was in bloom. I love this one so much. It has basically, most of these are bare canes. It's not doing the best that it could do at the moment because it has been maybe 3 years since I last reported this plant. My other plants that I have in here was the last one that I reported from this tree. That's my Dendrobium, if I'm not mistaken, Dendrobium Comet King. That's another hybrid. And I have mostly of bare canes, and then I have lots of keikis that are sprouting. I'm not really happy with all of these keikis. It's normal, nobiles, they will push out keikis, especially during their growing seasons. But I want to check how the root system is doing. I see that I have a cane here that's rotting, not good to see, so I need to remove it. And the third one is a white Dendrobium, very common one. These two I bought locally in supermarkets, and the Eucadoruma someone was selling on Facebook, I think a seedling or a keiki. And that's how I got all of them. They are not expensive plants. Usually they are very easy to find locally, at least where I live. They produce a beautiful bloom show, especially if you can offer them a cool down in temperature and not fertilize and highlight during their growing season. They do appreciate them, and because my plants are all potted in organic mix, it's a very good idea to repot them at least each 2 years to avoid having a spoiled mix with issues, degrading materials in there, dead roots. Because I offered these plants a cool down and I went away and I think they were exposed to low temperature for longer than what they needed, I noticed that some of them didn't bloom as nicer as last year. On top of that, I know that the mix is old. So it's not only the environment, but also my fault. And now it's the growing season. So when they are sprouting new keikis, in this case, new leaves, new canes, it's the right time to repot to them. And I wanted to take you along. I have other videos about these plants that I will link down below. But then we can just relax, see what we have inside this pot. I'll show you what I'm doing. And more than that, I'm hopeful that I will have beautiful plants next winter and then a much better show. Anyway, let's start repotting. What I'm going to do now is I'll put my tray here, show you how the root system is doing, what we have inside the pots, and how the plants are doing in their overall aspect. If you enjoyed this video until now, hit the like button. Just to let you know, YouTube just released something for me that I've never used before. It's called Super Tanks, and there are some super sticks as well. I don't know how they work exactly, but if you feel like would like to use some of them, they are just below the video, and that's it. So let's start. Okie dokie, let's start with the one that is sitting in this pot for a long time, longer than it should be. That's my Dendrobium Daruma, and I'm using these sticks. I bought them on Amazon. A viewer of mine suggested because I used to let them all hanging around. Just to let you know, thank you very much for my lovely viewer that I think lives in Australia. She knows who she is. She has been here since the beginning, and she gave me the idea to come and stick the plants because it would be lovely to save space. And she was right. It's amazing to have these sticks with my Dendrobium nobilis. I don't think it works for all orchids. They are extremely full. They are made of metal, but they are helping a lot with these plants. So the Eucoderma I received as a seedling, so I think as a keiki had one growth only, that was this one, and now it has 4 in total, and I have 2 basil growths going, and I have 3 cakes as well growing here on the cane. So all good. I don't think this plant will die or anything like that. I just think that it needs a good repotting. Probably most of the roots died when it was in my cool growing space. I don't know. They should be dry by now. I didn't water them this week. So let's remove it from this pot and see what we have inside. Oopsie. I intend to reuse all of these pots because I don't want to... Oh, sorry. Please don't do as I'm doing. You can be a little bit more careful when you're repotting your orchids. I was a little bit drastic here, I think. As you can see, I potted with lots of moss and bark. The bark is pretty much gone. It's degrading. It's very, very old at this point. So it's a good time to repot. And I think in this case specifically, I add more moss than what I would add normally. But maybe because it was a seedling, I don't know. Especially because it's in a self-watering pot. I don't think it needs all of these. But it was growing super well, so I can give me some points for that. It used to have a nice root system, but I do suspect that most of these roots are dead by now. I am not sure, but let's explore that together and see what happened with the root system of this plant. I'm gonna use the same pot because when I use the same pot, I will clean it, but I don't need to sterilize everything, or I can only just rinse some water through it, and it should be fine because even if this plant is sick or it has something, it will not affect any other plants. So that's why I'm gonna definitely use the same pot here, and all of my plants will fit inside them as well. Okay, I've removed all of this dead mix. Now we need to actually do as we do for all of our plants. Because this one is a Sympodio orchid and I have growths, I have the older growths coming from here, as you can see. And this section is probably the older section of my orchid, so everything that comes from these older growths is probably dead and it's probably gone. If I press the orchid root, the root system, I know that it's coming, development is coming out from the root string. So is everything papery down here? So I'm gonna cling to this, oopsie, to these back roots here, and I'm gonna start like chopping them off. Why I'm doing that? Because this is, at this point, I think this growth is here for at least 3 years. So it's definitely that, and I was right. I can see when you look in here, all of the root strings, they are dark gray or brown. They're all dead. So here again, it's very easy to remove that. They are all papery and mushy. Time to go. They have me happily helping my orchid to grow for a while, but now the time have come. So I'll keep snapping the dead roots. Let's see what I have left. I don't think I have many roots that are alive here. I'm gonna be very honest, because these orchids became suddenly very stressed. And on top of that, what I noticed is that the new roots were not growing inside the pot because they were hanging there. My fault. I didn't fix the position of... Now that it's sticked, it's helping the root system super greatly. So hopefully it will grow nicely inside the pot. So I'll keep investigating the root system and show you what I'm left with. I don't think it's going to be a lot, but fingers crossed. Let's hope. Let's be hopeful here. I'm screwed. I'm screwed because all the roots are dead, so I'm screwed. I'm screwed to the roots dead. The roots are so dead. Okay, funnily enough, I don't think... Oh gosh, I don't know if you're in focus or not. I'll have to check the camera later. But I have one live root, yay! But because the new cake is already pushing out roots, it should be okay. So what I'm gonna do is, I might keep this one just for the sake of it, because who knows, right? And also, I'm gonna remove the back bulb here because I think it has done enough for the orchid. Although I was trying to push out, there are some nubs in here. I don't care. Sorry. I'm gonna save some space doing that. So hopefully my orchid will be happy and will recover from all of these root losses. Let's go. What I will do now, don't know if you're seeing, if you're in focus or anything like that, but I'll just clean the tray, clean the root of these orchids. There is nothing for me to clean here, so not even worry about that. I'm gonna just clean my pot and I will repot it. Here I have another tray, the other one is clean for the second repotting. So now I'm gonna add a layer of bark and moss. The same thing, just a little bit of moss in the bottom, then bark and layers of moss that can communicate with each other, and then will bring humidity around for my plant to be healthfully growing. This one is a little bit different from other Dendrobium nobilis because it tends to bloom, always blooms in the older cane and not in the new and mature cane that it produced this year. It's one of my favorites from my Dendrobium nobilis. I don't know why. I think it's because of the contrast of the flower. I love how the white contrasts with the purple in there anyway. And it's a joy to grow. I never had issues. This is the first year that I've been having issues with it. And I grew it since it was a tiny, tiny bit. Let me just do two things here before I conclude this repotting. Is to add my stick. It helps me greatly this year, so I hope it will keep helping me. I will need something to attach to it because for any reason, let me see what I can do here. I might add some stones or some other stuff here. I need some clips. I don't have clips at the moment, but I will find them afterwards. Sometimes we need to be creative with our orchid, but I will find something to attach this to the pot. And the second thing that I need to use is some slow, oh my gosh, there is slow release fertilizer everywhere. I am extremely clumsy. I'm extremely clumsy. I've never told you that, but I am very, very much clumsy. So what happened with slow release of fertilizer is will help this orchid. The thing is, they need to grow a completely new cane. Now that summer, kind of, it's the spring, and it's very cold in here. Ha 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 ha. I don't know if you heard of spring and summer in the UK. It's not funny. It's sad sometimes. It has been very, very cold and rainy and all of the other things. But that's not the question. The thing is, this plant is supposed to mature a completely new growth now and push out a ton of roots. So hopefully these roots will feed my plant and my plant will be very, very much healthy and happy inside its new pot. So I will add it here. And what I need to do now, the next step is to offer it some water because this mix is dry. My sphagnum mold is dry, so I need to hydrate my plant, keep it in a bright space, and wait for the seedling or the basil cake to produce fruit and to start feeding the plant. Then I will have a healthier and hopefully it will give me many more blooms in the next season. So let's go to the second plant. This one is a fast grower, is the one that grows, I don't know how to explain, it's the most unruly one that pushes out more cakeys and more growth than any of the other ones. However, it didn't perform as well as I expected last year. And now I have these massive cakes here as well that I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I need to check the potting mix, see what's happening inside this pot and make it a little bit more organized than what it is at the moment. I do love the flowers when it is in full glory and it's completely healthy. It's amazing. So let's take this out and hopefully next year we're gonna have a better display. Oopsie. Oh my gosh. Ha 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 ha. I don't know if you guys can see the amount of roots that I have in here. It's amazing. And I knew I had roots because, how I'm gonna put that, I have nice canes. Some canes are very plumpy. And because they are plumpy, they are not dehydrated and wrinkled. I know that I have live roots inside the pot. The only thing is going to be more difficult to work out. And this was hard. Similarly to Oncidians, Similarly to Oncidians, these orchids, they produce a massive root system and they are very, very healthy. And the roots are thin as well, which can make it a little bit more difficult to repot, but we'll get there. I'm resilient, so I don't care. Let's dive into this massive bowl of fruits. The positive side is my plant is healthy. I was expecting to see less roots inside the pot, but since I have so many canes, that's what we could expect. This is the largest one in terms of how it keeps pushing out growths. It also blooms very easily, even without the proper cool down in temperature. I believe it's because it has many other orchids in its DNA that don't need the cool down that the proper nobile needs. So it changes how this plant perform a little bit compared to others. So I would say this one is easier if you want to start with a Dendrobium nobile hybrid. If you find this one locally, I'll try to put some footage for you to see how it looks like, or at least a picture here. If you find this one, I would say that this one is easier than the other ones. So the disadvantage of this plant is that, not this one specifically, but Dendrobium nobile, when I talk about them, is that temperature-wise, if you don't have the right temperature, it's not going to be easy for you to rebloom your orchid. However, they are very resilient plants. They don't die easy on you, and even if they are stressed, they would definitely push out baby KKs, so baby orchids called KKs, and you'll be able to remove the KK when the roots are 10 to 15 centimeters long, repot them separately, and we'll be able to grow another plant. Not only that, but because they push out new growths and they can resist without watering for a while compared to some orchids like Oncidians. These are much more resistant than Oncidians, I would say. They are great in this sense. However, if you don't have the right temperature, what can happen is you can have growths, but not blooms. You might have a beautiful Dendrobium nobile hybrid in your house with many canes and new growths sprouting, but without a cooler temperature, you must have only a green orchid and not an orchid with blooms. Where I grew up in Brazil, we do have Dendrobium nobiles on the trees in front of my mom's house, and they always bloom during spring because for obvious reasons, when it's winter, they will start pushing out the flower spikes. And my birthday is exactly in the end of winter in Brazil, beginning of spring. That's different from here because I'm talking about the south hemisphere, and here we are in the north one. Anyway, so every year my mom used to grab the flowers to decorate cakes, and I always associated those flowers with my birthday because they were always in bloom when was my birthday. But it's very common for people to have them attached to their trees and tree trunks around their house. But someone of my family, she lives in a very hot place near Rio, and they don't have a proper winter. The temperature there is very, very hot and doesn't get, I don't know, below maybe 25 degrees Celsius. So she does have a massive nobile attached to the tree in her house that it has never bloomed. It keeps growing and it's super beautiful and green with so many growths, but I don't think it will ever bloom because of the temperature in there. Only if something changes and we have suddenly a drop in temperature, I don't know, very weird one, and it lasts a little bit, then maybe this plant will push out flowers. I cannot imagine it doing so, but it's nice to see that in real life, so you know exactly how these plants, not only real life, I mean garden outside, so you see how they react to the nature that's not our home environment. But in our home environment, again, if you live in a place where you have a winter Even in mild winter, you might be able to rebloom these orchids. It doesn't need to go below 0 degrees Celsius, you know, but you need to have a winter, because if you don't, there are greater chance that you will have just a green orchid. If you're happy with that, then go for it. So this is taking longer than expected. It's a massive root system. I need to be really careful with the roots of the newer growth, like this one. And I have where I have another growth. I have another growth here coming from the base. This one is the green and plumpy growth. So this growth is very, very important. So these roots, I need to be careful with them. However, the growths here that are growing in the back, I can safely remove some of them, like this one. It had something sprouting from it. What is that? Maybe it's a strange keiki, I think. This plant pushes out so many keikis. So, and then I'll start cutting the roots that I consider clearly dead, like I did with the other plant. Let me know if you have a nobile or nobile hybrid, or if you used to have and you don't have anymore. Which one do you have? Which ones did you enjoy seeing growing? I have a viewer that has an Ikudaruma. I know that, but I don't know many people that has nobiles. My mother-in-law got it many years ago from someone, but she, even inside our homes, if you don't offer it to any drop in temperature, they probably will not rebloom. And that's what happened with the one that someone gave her. It never reblooms. And now she has the same situation. She has a big oncidium. And I told her many times, I said, look, not oncidium, cymbidium. I'm really sorry. She has a massive cymbidium. It's a beautiful one with yellow flowers. But I told her, you need to provide some highlight, because her living room is very dark, and also a cool down in temperature. Otherwise, I don't think it will rebloom, and it has never rebloomed. It's just a green plant in her living room. So some orchids, they are a little bit more difficult than others, especially, they are not all like Phalaenopsis. Phalaenopsis is much easier, I think, and they will rebloom easier if I compare to nobiles, cymbidiums. I don't have any video about cymbidiums because I have no experience with them. And I think they are great as gardening plants, but as indoor plants, I don't know how they would do. I had one only. It did grow for a while, but I think it was attacked by pests, as most of my orchids that died in the last 2 years. But you can find cymbidiums very easily here in the UK as well. Enough blab. I will finish cleaning these roots and I'll show you when I'm done. So far, this is the healthiest of all of them. It's full of live roots, full of, good things in here. I'm not gonna cut everything that I think that might be dead, because, I don't know. I'm gonna give these orchids a chance to grow, branch out. I can still see some dead roots. I think I'm gonna clean up these orchids a little bit. I don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You can keep having a super bushy plant, but like this one, have bloom all over. Don't need it here. It has 0 roots either. So it's time to go. Something else that I'm intending to do here is I have a super good cane here. And I have this one that I don't know what's going on, but it's mushy somehow. So because it is mushy somehow, it's also time to go. It's gone now. Now I am left with some older canes, but they still have energy to hydrate my orchid, so I'm happy with them. I'll leave them be. These, I hope you can see properly, but this is a keiki, and it's growing here attached, but it is a keiki, so I'll remove it and I will pot it with my plant. I have another keiki here. This is a massive one. How I remove them, I usually don't cut them. I will just twist it a little bit from one side to another. How I know? Oh gosh, no, it's breaking the roots a little bit. Okay, manage. Yay! If you can see it properly, but look the size of these roots. Super healthy keiki. And then there is another keiki here that has longer roots as well. Can you see? This one, I am gonna remove that one as well. Why I'm removing all these keikis? Because I want to clean my plant a little bit, and I have other smaller keikis growing here. So soon, not only I'm gonna have these 3 keikis, but also I'm gonna have 3+ keikis here, and let's make my plant a little bit tidier. Then you have options when you have all of these keikis. You can pot them together, you can pot them separately, you can give to a friend, you can give to someone, you can do whatever you intend or you want to do with them. I can remove this old stick, so that's up to you. These will definitely go away. I'm gonna go to the bin, and now that I have removed the keikis and I have a very healthy growth here, I am start potting my orchid. What I'm gonna do, I will pot one of the keikis, the basil keiki that was already being hydrated, with my plant, and I'm gonna also pot up one of the longer keikis together. But this one I will pot separately. I have a small keiki here that will go somewhere else. The rest will be all potted together. Why? Because I think it will give me a really nice bloom show. They will be growing together, and as the growth season right now, I will pot them up as I pot all of my orchids. The same thing, a bit of moss, a bit of bark, a bit of moss. Now keep layering it to the top. The problem is here is, I have a ton of roots. They have to go inside my pot. So because of these, and I don't want to break the roots, so we have to be very careful. We have to be smart while we're potting them up. I'm gonna use my stick as well. This video is gonna be super long. I'm really sorry. I wasn't expecting it to be that long. Let's see what we can do here. So I have this massive cane here. Ideally, I should have something to attach to these sticks as well. Give me 2 seconds just to think how I'm gonna do that. I need some bark. Wasn't very smart. There are a ton of bark missing here. We hope for the best because it's a massive ball of roots. So you need to try to fill in the gaps while you are potting them up, potting the plant up, giving space for the keikis and for the mother plant to grow and be healthy. But this plant is not going to suffer because it's already doing super well. To repot, I love orchids with a ton of roots. I think we all do. They are healthier. They show us that we're doing a good job. But to repot, so much easier when they don't have many roots, because we just place it on the pot and that's it. So I have to add a ton of slow release fertilizer, because now is the growing season and there are a ton of keikis here as well. But we need to be careful to not over fertilize them and then having only keikis and maybe not enough mature growths. Because what I want now is for these keikis to grow and become mature. So when it's winter, they are going to be ready to bloom, right? And then I'm going to have a ton of white orchids. If you ask me if I really want all of these 3 keikis that are growing, I don't think I want them. But I will leave them before now and check what I'm going to do with them in the future. Okay, enough blab. My plant is potted. I'm happy with my work. It's not perfect, but yeah. After a long time, I finally came to this one. So this one is more dehydrated than the previous one. I don't think it has so many live roots, but it still have, I don't know, I have many keikis appearing here. So this was the last one to be repotted. If I compare to the other ones, I think this one is on the spot for last time, but something is wrong here. I'm gonna remove this massive pot out of the way. So, same thing. let's start repotting, remove from the pot and see what's happening. It's full of cakeys as well, but it's also full of very old divisions. Okay. It is also potted in a larger pot because this plant used to be larger. But looking now, I think it's smaller than the other ones. When I finally repot everything. Oh, there is some live roots inside it. I can see some live roots, which is okay. It's good. Very, very good. And the mix is not as old. If you look at the bark's not degraded yet. So it's also very, very good. The moss in the very good condition. So this mix is much better than both of the other ones. So this one is probably here for a little bit less than 2 years, I think. And I'm already stressing it, but because I think I should. Something is not in place. And I have more canes as well. So should be fairly easy to recoup. So if you look into the canes, you're going to see that most of them don't have leaves, or none of them have leaves actually. So with Dendrobium nobile hybrids, it's normal for the leaves to fall in older canes, but usually they will push out new divisions. And these divisions will have green leaves. Usually speaking, they don't tend to fall, to lose all of their leaves. After they bloom, some of them will take longer. The fact that everything is so bare here tells me not the story that I would like to hear, not this time, but it is what it is, right? So let's keep diving into this bowl of roots. That's a very long bowl of roots. I'll keep doing it, and I'll show you when I have finally removed all of the moss. So that's a tired voice. I am tired. It's been longer. It's been, I don't know, longer than I expected. And I have so many repottings to do. Do you like to watch repottings? Let me know down below. Because I have Orchids to repot. I have Cattleyas to repot. I have, I don't know, what else? I have other orchids to repot as well. And I never come to them. And I need to. This year is like crucial. I'm taking some time. And next year is bank holiday here. Next week. And I took a day off from my work just to spray pesticide into my orchid. I never have time to do that. And should get warmer soon. Best love when the temperature gets a little bit warmer. I know that. And I don't have time, and I can see that my plants are struggling, so I need to make time for it. I will do it next week. I might take you along, at least for part of the process, not for everything, because it's gonna be a long journey. I'm still trying to think how I'm gonna do it. So, okay, let's start cutting all the dead roots. This is the oldest portion of my plants gone. It's not that it's not alive, it's definitely alive. It's like this one is pushing cakeys, so it's alive, but I don't need it. So all of the roots here in the back part also, I know that they are dead. So now I'll keep investigating the roots and I will show you what I have left. So guys, this plant had 0 roots and I rocked the whole root system, which is okay. Sometimes it happens, but my fault. It was too wet for a long time, so the roots were a little bit wet, although I watered them 1 week ago, which is not a good sign. But not only the pot is large, but the way that I pot them up, and it was having a winter break, and suddenly I started watering it, so I don't think it did very well. That's why I started pushing out cakeys, because it wants to survive. But it's pushing out 2 new growths from the base, which is amazing. Top of that, I have this very large cakey here that I will remove, and I will pot it together. Since I've already showed you both of the other repottings, I will skip this one, but I will come back and show you all of my 3 plants. So guys, there we go, the repotting session is finished. Such a long video, I hope you enjoyed that. They are not all super healthy, as you could see. I have 2 of my Dendrobiums that are not performing super well in terms of the roots. They lost most of the roots this winter, and that's because they were in the cool chamber for a long, long time. And then I probably offered more water than I should when I returned because I was a little bit worried about them, but they were still adapting to the warmer environment. So another thing that I learned is that I was adding more moss than this plant needed in the past because I was also learning, and they have been potted here for more than 3 years, I think. So it was a good process, a good learning curve. Not all of them are not healthy. The white one is doing super well. I have a multitude of cakeys and I have lots of roots inside this pot. It's just hard to keep it balanced here and attached to the canes, to have the stick attached to the canes. So the plant is a little bit, I don't know, plant is not so unruly. I also have a yellow Dendrobium that's doing amazingly well. This was the last one that I bought, the last one that I repotted, and this one has new canes, a pot full of roots, and this one is not suffering a bit, so I'm not repotting this year, only next year. But for now, I'm not worried that some of them don't have any roots, because this plant, as I mentioned before, they are very resilient, and I can see that they pushed out, or they are pushing out some new growths coming from the base, and because that's their growing season, lucky for us, these plants tend to push out a completely brand new root system and grow super fast and mature their canes, especially because they still have some support in terms of energy from the older canes that have the ability as pseudobulbs to conserve energy, water, nutrients, and will help these new plants. The one thing that Dendrobium do a lot is push out cakeys, not only to keep growing and reproducing, but also as a survival strategy. Cakeys are a new baby orchid that we can remove and repot. So when they are stressed, specifically when they are stressed, they will tend to push many, many cakeys. So for this reason, these plants are very difficult for us to kill them. But I hope you have, I don't know if you learned anything, but at least I hope you enjoy seeing how I repot my plants and learned with my mistakes and with my experience. I think it's a whole process. We learn as we go. It was a very, very long video, so I really pleased if you stay until here. And if you enjoyed this type of content, hit the like button, leave a comment down below, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye!